Hi everyone, how's it going? It is October 19th, about half an hour before the market is going to start. Before we start taking a look at things, I wanted to make a correction to some of the things I said in the aftermarket video yesterday. When I was explaining the concept and when I did my first example of TJX and Ulta, I did a math error. I said that uh, we were down 3% on TJX and we were up 41% on Ulta. And if I have half my money in each, then what I said was that all I did was add those two together. I said, okay, then on that money, I'm up 38%. That's incorrect. so if I'm down 33% on one, I'm up 41% on the other. What I need to do is find the midpoint if I have half my money in each. So 41 minus -3, that would be 44 divided by 2, that'd be 22. 22 added to -3 would be 18. No, 19. So on the money on the two positions net, it would be up 19%. I did it correctly later on the CCL and CBOE example, but I just wanted to correct myself in last night's video so you don't get confused if you go back and listen to it. But in any case, let's go ahead and take a look at how our futures are opening up. Uh, Futures. Okay, so S&P, nothing burger, basically flat. Same with the Dow, slightly tiny bit down. That's basically 0% on 33.8 thousand. Nasdaq is up 47. That is nope. That's also random. But what I'm noticing is the spread between the Dow and the Nasdaq, which we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks, but not nearly as pronounced, not as significant, given that everything is just random noise at the moment. But it is somewhat significant that the spread between these two. So maybe it may be indicator that risk might be coming into the market today. I wouldn't put too much stake into it though. We have some news items, if I remember correctly. We'll take a look in a minute. So right now, random, mostly random. Crude oil's not really moving. Doesn't look like bonds are really moving either. We can confirm that. CB. Well, up. Well, let's see, on the day from yesterday, up a tiny bit, not much. So yeah, everything is very quiet this morning, which is nice because what that means is we can see the movement of the market based purely on earnings and maybe the couple of news items that are coming out. So if I look at where we were the in the overall markets, the S&P, we broke below that EMA 20, EMA 8, and so we're going to be looking for this to head towards that MA 150 and then MA 200. That's the most likely path, and then we'll see from there if we break through that or if we bounce from there. Is the market so weak that we will break through the MA 200? That's not very likely. That's probably the lowest probability scenario. Maybe somewhat more likely would be some consolidation once we come down here, and then or otherwise we might bounce and get a U-shaped bottom right here. If we look at QQQ, QQQ broke below the EMA 20, MA 50, and EMA 8, so that's pretty significant. So we'll most likely be heading towards this consolidation area over here, which would probably coincide with the MA 150 by then. And then we'll see if the market is strong, then we'll hold right there. And then we've got some pretty good horizontal support. Right, so we have this area of consolidation. We've got this bounce. We have this area of consolidation. So we have the MA 150. So we have some pretty good support right here. Given the way it looks, it's probably going to hold. DIA, Diamonds, Industrials, Dow Jones Industrials. So we're seeing that we came down into the MA 200. This is going to be important to watch today. I think because we've got we have the manufacturing index. Oh, it already came out. So we have the manufacturing index. Consensus was down 7. It's down a little bit more than consensus, but it's within range. So we might see more slight downward pressure in the industrials, the basic materials. We'll take a look at XLB, XLI. Yeah, these are so XLI definitely has room to fall, and the XLB is at a support consolidation area. So if we break down, then we'll want to pay attention. We'll start looking for opportunities to start shorting some of these industrials. So if technology and consumer discretionary is down and industrials and basic materials is down, then that's pretty broad downward movement. And that kind of supports the view that the S&P 500 will move more likely towards the MA 200, which by that time it may have risen to about this consolidation area right here, and that will provide a stronger support right there. Okay, let's take a look at TLT. Even though we looked at the futures, I want to see how it's moving on the ETF. And here we can see that yesterday's low was actually below this. That's not great news for TLT. So this is looking like this is going to be a very strong downtrend and continue to move in that direction. We just have to be careful about, if we look on this longer term basis, that's be the beginning of a parabolic curve. Okay, so we may see rapid, especially if we break below today's low or yesterday's low, then we could start to see rapid downward movement in the bonds, which would be not very good for the stock markets. And again, another point that would support us moving towards that MA 200. Let's take a look at sectors. Oh, 20-day breakouts. 47, 20-day breakdowns. This is normal. So this is indicating weakness. We are moving downwards, but it's not at an extreme point yet. When we see this starting to become extreme, that's when we expect to bounce. So if I start seeing this go to about 300, 400, 500, then I would expect the market to bounce and turn around soon. And maybe, again, that could happen when we get to that MA 200 and the S&P 500. I'll take a look at the sectors. Let's do it on a 1-week basis. Energies, staples, retail. Retail is still riding that high from a couple of days ago. We had that report and that giant spike in retail, so I wouldn't put too much emphasis on retail. And home builders. Home builders towards the bottom, real estate towards the bottom. We also have the existing home sales happening, and that doesn't happen until after market. So after 7 o'clock Eastern, Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, take a careful look at what's happening in XHB, in XLRE, or your favorite real estate related stocks. If we start seeing it, yesterday we talked about how we're at, it looks like we're headed lower. We're at that MA 200 and we might break through, and we suggested taking a look at a strong stock and weak stock within the sector. And if you did that, you'll get to see the results of that probably amplified because we have a report coming out. So that would be really interesting to watch and see. Same with XLRE. All right. Okay, and let's take a look at maybe some day trading opportunities. We had NVIDIA come out with earnings. So you can see that they're up pre-market. We have some really interesting price movement pre-market. So that's going to make for some pretty good levels. In about 20 minutes, if this has continued to move higher, then I would move this line. This line by itself is not significant unless we come down from here. But if we continue to move upwards into the open, then you would just push this line upwards to wherever it is at that time. And then Tesla also had earnings. Oops. We got some nice movement and shapes developing in the price curve. American Airlines. Yeah, that looks interesting. Especially with UAL reported yesterday. You see what happened to American Airlines yesterday? With UAL yesterday. Okay, so American Airlines got dragged down by UAL yesterday. Now UAL is behind us, and American Airlines announced its own earnings, okay, and it went up. So American Airlines probably did okay, if not really good, but it's just trying to undo this drop from yesterday and not succeeding too much in the pre-market. But it's giving us a good range to look at. And Google, we could look at Google. I was thinking Palantir's looking pretty spotty today. Let's go ahead and do Google. Okay, so I really be watching out for that 7 o'clock. Normally, that's a point in time where volatility starts to die down. Really, it's the first hour of the market, but first hour is pretty good as well. Sorry, half hour is pretty good as well. So none of these are related to that report that is coming out. So we could watch these. If you see a breakout right at the beginning, then you could go ahead and trade it, and then just watch what the overall market does after those reports come out. And I'm just something. Yeah, okay. Powell speaks. Almost missed that. Powell speaks at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. That's right during lunch hour for New York. So probably a lot of guys are not going to go leave their desk for lunch today. So this is going to be somewhat significant, depending on what he says. He could say nothing and everyone just goes out to lunch. but if he starts saying weird stuff, or if he starts projecting forward, and that's not what he's been saying in the past, or is not aligned with the other Fed speakers, then you'll see a jump in at the very least the volatility, not necessarily directionality, but at the very least you'll see a jump in volatility. So I would be careful day trading around 9 o'clock. So if you're going to day trade, the best window is either you see a really good breakout right at the beginning, or you wait for 7 o'clock, then you trade between 7 and 9, and no matter where you are at 9 o'clock, I'm speaking Pacific time, my time, no matter where you are, I would say by 8:50 or 8:45, I would be out of my day trades, because a lot of people are going to stop trading going up into the speech. Liquidity will dry up. So I would even go as early as 8:30. And if you don't like that, or because it's not a very large window for your day trade to develop, then just wait until after Powell speaks. Wait, see that volatility, and when it starts to die down a little bit, then that's the time to resume day trading. You'll watch that in the S&P 500. That'd be the best place to watch it. But you could watch it in the individual stocks that you're following as well. You should see a similar pattern no matter what the stock is. So a few things to look out for this morning. Day trading would be a little bit trickier than today, but good luck. Hope you have a very profitable day, and I will see you in the aftermarket.